Hi guys, welcome back to Don't Quit Your Day Job Pod, our YouTube channel. You may be a little surprised to just see my face here tonight instead of seeing all three of us like you're used to. And that's because I'm here tonight to do the Booktube Newbie Tag. That's a mouthful. The Booktube Newbie Tag. And that's because why did we start this channel is question one, or why was this channel started is question one of the tag. And that really explains why I'm here without the other two. And that's because we didn't just create Don't Quit Your Day Job to be able to record the podcast on, although it's something that we're all three very passionate about. But we have lots of other passions. Mine is books specifically. We have lots of other passions that we're passionate about, and we wanted to be able to use the channel to focus on those other passions as well and share them with the internet. And so that is why I'm here by myself doing this tag without them, and why you'll see me sometimes reading books or doing reading vlogs, stuff like that without them, but it'll still be here on this channel because this channel isn't just for the podcast. It's for all the things that make me, Julia, and Stephanie humans, and all the little pieces of us that when you get them together make a whole person. And so that's why I started this channel, is so that we could connect with a whole new community of people, not just people who love to listen to podcasts, but also people who love to read, people who love to write, people who love modeling clay like Stephanie does, people who love to cook or DIY like Julia does. That's why this channel was started. Some of the fun and unique things that I think that I can bring to YouTube, which is question two, is my age. I'm a lot older than a lot of the YouTubers that I see. Not that I don't love some of the younger YouTubers, but I'm 37 this year. And I think with that comes a sort of wisdom that I've had. I've been reading for a really long time, and I think that I can bring a fresh perspective at my age to the YouTube space and to the channel about books in general. Question three is, what am I most excited about? I am most excited about this channel just being the community that we're going to build. Like, I truly believe we're going to build the most wholesome, inclusive community that loves all the things that we love, or maybe just loves pieces of the things that we love. Maybe you're just here for the books, or you're just here for the clay modeling, or you're just here for the podcast. And we're going to build a community of people who realize that they're not just one thing. They're a bunch of different things that makes this whole stardust of a human being put together, and we call life. And so that's what I'm most excited about for this channel, is getting to meet that community and see that community grow and new people to join all the time, so that we have people here that love all sorts of things and love things with us and love different things than us and can teach us things that maybe we'll learn to love and pick up as hobbies. And that's what I'm really excited about. Question four is, why do I love reading? I have loved reading since I was a little kid. There has never been a moment that I have not adored reading. I remember reading Matilda when I was just the littlest tiny tot. I read it to my sisters. I read it before I went to bed. I just absolutely loved Matilda. I also remember reading like Winnie the Pooh and all the little golden reader books. And so I've been reading and love reading since I was a child. And I think the thing that I love about it most is that it's a form of escapism. You can go anywhere in the world, even if you never leave your backyard, through books and through the stories that other people tell. I think it's amazing, some of the stories that people have been able to tell and the places that you can visit, even though you never step outside your front door, through these books. I think it's just such a wonderful thing that happens and can be done through reading, and that is really why I love reading. What question would I ask my favorite booktuber? That is question number 5 is, what series got me into reading? I actually was not a series girl until Harry Potter. I read a lot of standalones. I was a standalone girly. I loved Matilda. I loved I'm trying to think of her name. She wore a little yellow hat and walked in twos in Paris. What was her name? I can't think of it. I loved her. But I guess the very first series that I remember loving not counting Harry Potter, is I love the Laura Ingalls Wilder series. So I absolutely adored that series. I remember the very first Green Book, The Big House in the Woods, and reading about making molasses candy and playing with the pig bladder. And I just remember thinking that it would be so cool to live back then. The show was also on TV at the time. It was in reruns, but it was on TV at the time. And so that actually is the first series that got me into reading. If I had to pick a series, it would be the Laura Ingalls Wilder series. Second to, in my early middle school years, Harry Potter. It did spark my love of fantasy, which isn't a genre that I read as much as I wish I did read. I read it a lot more as a teen and young adult, but it sparked my love of reading all over again. So those two series. What questions would I ask my favorite booktubers? That's question number 6. How do you do this without feeling like you are the silliest person in the room? And I'm the only person in this room, and I still feel like the silliest person in the room. And that's really what I would ask my favorite booktuber is, how do I do this without feeling like I am just a crazy person and that this is so not natural to just talk to a camera? And how long does it take to get used to that? And what tips and tricks do you have? And if you have tips or tricks on how to beat that fright. My camera died, so I'm going to finish this up. So I was in the middle of saying, what questions would I ask my favorite booktuber? And I would say that I would just ask, how do you not feel silly talking in a room by yourself to a camera, or in public to a camera, without people thinking that you are insane? It just feels stilted and hard, and they make such quality content, all the booktubers that I watch. And so I would love to ask them what they do and how they get over this fright. And if you have any suggestions, I'd love for you to leave them down in the comments, because I'd love to hear any suggestions to get over feeling silly. But that is what I would ask my favorite content creators is, how do you make such good content without feeling like you are the silliest person in the room? So question 7, what challenges do I think I'll face? I think that this channel's challenges that we'll face is making sure that everything feels seamless together. And I think as long as we're honest and true to who we are as people, that the community will come together to make it whole. It's a little bit of a different idea. Most people don't go, well, we're going to start a podcast, but we're also going to have side videos that don't have all of us in it, that focus on different things. And I understand that, but I believe in this dream and this concept. And so I believe that it can happen. And so that is what I think our biggest challenge is going to be, is to make it feel like one cohesive whole thing. But I think as long as all 3 of us really stay true to who we are, we're going to build a community that is cohesive. And maybe you don't love everything that we do, but you love a piece of the community, and the community still welcomes you with open arms. So question 8, when did you start reading? I started reading as a little girl. I have been reading since I was about 3 years old, and I don't think I ever stopped. I think even in college, when I was in college, I would say I didn't read as much as I used to, but I still read about 30 books a year. I've always been a reader. It's always been something that I've done. I know a lot of people talk about how they put it down during, like, after childhood and then picked it up later on in life, and then found a love of it again. That's really not my story. My story is that books have always been a big part of it, and I thank my parents for that. My mom is an avid reader, and my dad, although not an avid reader of books, he is an avid consumer of content. And so in all forms, and has always encouraged us to read, had us do book reports in the summertime over books that we were supposed to be reading, so that we didn't hit that summer slide. So I've been reading since I was little, and I've always found a love of reading. And so that's really how long I've been reading, forever. I don't think there's been a time since I started reading that I really ever stopped. Where do I read? That's the next question. That's question number 9. Where do I read? Predominantly, I read in my bed or on the couch. That's where I would say that I read most of the time. However, I always have a book with me, whether it's a book on Kindle, whether it's an audio book, whether it's a physical book in my purse. If we're in line, I've read in TSA lines. I've read at dinner tables, waiting for my food to be delivered. I've read waiting for movie theaters to start a movie. So I'll really read anywhere. But I would say if you ask predominantly where I read on my bed or I read on the couch. And then the final question, question 10, is what books do I like to read? My favorite genres are romance, fantasy, and murder thriller, like a thriller mystery. Those are my 3 favorite genres and the ones that I read the most often. I will read almost everything, except I don't love biographies, like histories, those kind of things. Those aren't my jam. And I don't like horror, anything too scary, too much blood, guts. Freaks me out and I can't sleep at night. So that's why I say I like mystery thrillers, but I'm just shy of the horror genre. But my 3 biggest are fantasy, romance, predominantly contemporary romance, and mystery thrillers. Those are the 3 genres that I read the most. I thank you so much for your time of watching this video. If you've stayed this whole time and you've listened, drop a book emoji in the comments so that I'll know that you were here, and I appreciate it so much. And stay cozy, stay reading, and don't quit your day job unless you really want to.